What's up,
Omari,
Brad?
man.
How you
How's
doing,
it going,
man?
brother?
You got it, man.
I'm
You look
doing-
you look good, bro. I like all that.
Look, man, if I could get it like you, I would
No,
have it like you.
I tried to
You know,
change
if
it
I
up.
could get
I
like you, this would
disconnected
be
it because
gone.
my shit is always connected. So I disconnected it just to change it up. You look good, brother.
I appreciate you, man.
You
I'm
look
just
good.
trying to get like you. Congratulations
Thank
on the
you, man.
film, man. I had a good time with it.
I appreciate that. Love that you liked it.
You know, like the thing is, like, so I'm not well versed in Star Trek lore or anything like that. But what I love about these movies is they take you into a whole different world where your mind thinks about things differently. But I wanted to ask you, did you have like prior, like as from a kid level, Star Trek love, excuse me?
Yeah.
I almost made the Pharrell reference there for Star Trek.
That would have been
But
dope.
did you have
That
some
works. That works.
But did you have like Star Trek love from back in the day?
Yeah, I did for sure. I think it was Freudian that you said Pharrell because I loved it. He and Chad still did their job at naming that group Neptunes. So in terms of Star Trek and all the galactical promise that it offered, and it was interesting that it was a galactical promise because it's not a space, Brad, in which you nor me and or 6 billion people to 8 billion people at this point on Earth can know in terms of the promissory that outer space existence or life beyond what we know life to be, the way that they get down. We can't understand the promises made in that world. And so what made Star Trek appealing to me was that even our country, Brad, was not promising equality in the way that I thought it should be promised. But yet if I flipped on Star Trek, then Gene Roddenberry was nailing it. How could you have all of these different colors in one room called one film, called one segment of Star Trek episode, whatever the episode was, whatever the series was, and get away with it in a world that wasn't necessarily being unified? As much as we're called the United States of America, I knew a world as a young Black American man that felt at times very divisive. And in reality, bro, at times we feel pretty divided presently. So one of the things that's been a constant for me is that, yes, as a young child, I could tune into that. I was more of a Star Wars kid, but I think I loved what Star Trek had to offer in terms of looking at Avery Brooks and looking at LeVar Burton and Nichelle Nichols and looking at all these people who look like me, even Persis, right? The equal woman of color, being an Indian woman who was part of the world and having the Deltan existence that now we see my castmate and Umberly Gonzalez carry on. So I knew enough about it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I was definitely between a 5 and a 6 and my knowledge of the lore as you speak about.
Yeah, and you know what? You're absolutely right. And Star Trek has kept that same energy throughout. I mean, even into the late 90s when Picard takes over and you have Whoopi Goldberg representing at the same time. And they've kept that energy throughout. It's actually funny. I've never really thought of it through that prism, but you're absolutely right. In a time, especially in the 60s when this show started, and, Shatner wasn't discriminating. You know what I mean? He wasn't discriminating with his, choice of partners.
Bro, interracial kiss, like it just wasn't going down like that. And I remember it being stated that Dr. King, I think Nichelle, as you know, was opposite Shatner in that first interracial kiss shown on film or TV. Dr. King apparently, after she was like, I want to, I'm ready to move on, I think, and he was like, no. We need you in that position. That's very needed, what you're doing on that show. And, does it beg the question that Dr. King was a Trekkie? Perhaps. Who knew? Perhaps. And then, she goes on to believe in what he stated. And in going back, that is when Shatner kisses this woman of color. And like the rest is still history in the making, which is pretty beautiful.
No, it is a beautiful legacy that Star Trek carries forward. And then into Section 31 with your character, we were talking about the facial hair and the look here a minute ago, man. I love how your character looks. I mean, it looks like a guy that you do not want to cross in a dark alley here in the United States or anywhere in the galaxy, as you put it before. Yeah. When you go in and you're reading, a character in the sides or the script, whenever you get it, and you start imagining what this guy looks like, do you bring ideas to set, or do you say, hey, look, here's what they have for me, I'm gonna figure out how to make this work?
That's right. That they both are great. The way that you pose the question, I would say your latter portion of the question meets your former. Yes, for the most part, on characters prior, you are thinking, not necessarily wishing or hoping, because you want to be a blank canvas, but you are thinking about ways to paint that canvas. And clothing is a huge component in that. First, the way your head looks to me, maybe taught to me in acting class. Definitely have heard Morgan Freeman and other actors of his stature speak about you start with shoes and or hat. It doesn't matter, but everything else in the middle you can fill in. So yeah, I've brought ideas for certain, but I was so and am so honored to be able to say that prior parts of my career saw this woman, the incredible Gersha Phillips, who was our costume designer, Brad. And in 2007, when I did a movie called Line Watch with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Evan Ross, respectively, she was first met by me then, and me meeting her. And then here I am, 2024, and I meet her in Toronto again, 17 years later, bro?
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily need to bring ideas because as you stated, Star Trek is a pre-existing outfit. It is, figuratively speaking, a beautiful outfit that when you literally are being outfitted, she just nailed it with everybody's character. She and her team already had thoughts because Olatunde gave thoughts, Alex Kurtzman gave thoughts, and the rest of the producers were able to weigh in. And man, once she put on a Locke's black coat, the coat that you're with the lift, that's heavy, but yet I still fight in it. She did a little nip tucking here and there and kept some things and removed some things and gave me the right shoes, allowed me to pick my shoes. She gave me options of 5 to 6 pair of shoes. But once we found that collaborative middle ground that made us go, yeah, this is the guy. I definitely never want to claim to know a character until way years later after I've played a character. I just think a character is ever growing. And if you know what you're doing, you shouldn't know the character. But that outfit allowed me to know this guy a lot better.
Yeah. First of all, I want to touch on what you just said there. Like, you don't know the character until years later, because you're right. Even as people, like, I'm 32 years old as I stand right here. I have no idea who the hell I am. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out day by day about the grace of God. It gives me that opportunity.
That's true.
To figure it out. But going to the shoes, I'm really curious by this. So you have 5, 6 pair of shoes. How do you decide this is the right pair for a long?
Right. So me being a former athlete, as you know, right, we're talking on this is ESPN platform. As you know, Brad, me being an ex-athlete, the art super matters. So most of us fast runners are flat-footed, right? Shout outs to Tariq Hill. Why do I know it? Because in fantasy football, the movie I did prior on Paramount Plus, I destroyed my ankles because I was making cuts. And of course, Marseille Martin's character is playing me as a PlayStation entity. So I'm last minute making cuts. It's not like, and that was back at, 3 or 4 years ago. And so I got injured and going to some of these doctor appointments that I had to go to about the hurt ankles and the torn knee, which all have been repaired now. They said, all you fast runners, flat feet. So sometimes, bro, even prior to those injuries, I've definitely looked immediately inside the shoe to make sure an arch is there enough, some support, because you're in them all day. You know, I didn't really have enough time to take off the shoes and put on slippers in between takes. So it was a little bit of that. What's rubber enough at the bottom? What has an arch, but what's still fly enough if I pulled up the pant leg that I'd be able to get some play? If I was trying to get the phone number of somebody off of my shoes, what allows that to happen equally? So it's like a mix for me, bro.
I feel that. And, you know, being an athlete and being in organized sports, even individual sports, one of the things you have to really learn to do is especially in team sports, is take direction from your coach, follow what coach wants. But also, what I find about team sports, it's so unique, is that, you know, everybody has their role. You talk about football. Everybody's got their position they play. In a great football team, they think singularly, but they act collectively.
That's right.
And I think that that's what is, when you can find that in a set, on a set, for a film or a television show, that's really when everybody's rowing at the same pace. Is that a skill that you found in athletics that adapts to entertainment?
You're absolutely correct. There are those things that, you know, and since you gave me your age and you're almost at your Jesus year, which is great, you're almost in it, right? I forgot until this birthday, we've already lived the age year-wise that we're about to become. So you're 32, but you've already lived 33 ticks. So there's enough of your understanding at your age, there's enough of an understanding that there is no occupation or respective industry that won't come with its ills that when asked by your family members are the industry folks who are superiors of yours providing what you want. There's enough of an understanding where you're able to go, probably not all the things I want, but they're giving me what I need. I'll continue to work at getting what I want, right? Need is first. And one of the great things that sport taught me was that I do actually speak the shorthand of the film industry. Absolutely, the film industry hasn't always given me, Brad, what I want when I wanted it, but it's given me what I needed. And I think it provided that because I gave it what it needed. It needed a leading man from Omari. I understood how to go, I'm doing my position. I'm cool over here in my position. But equally, as soon as you say, and blue 24, boo, 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 whether I'm on the offensive side and or the defensive side, it is a collective effort of not only 11, but at times 22. If it's you practicing against your own teammates, it's 22 all in unison to make it happen. And with the film set, bro, it's 92. It's 92 people. So I spoke its language. There was a cliff notes of sorts when I came in this industry that I didn't necessarily account for until I made it to sets. And now it is providing a bit more of what I want. I gave it what it needed. It's given me what I needed. And now I'm able to negotiate some things I want. And that's just one of the more humbling things I could ever be able to say. It's a great question, bro.
Oh, no, I appreciate the insight. That was amazing insight. Now, also, from athletics, you learn to appreciate greatness when you see it. Right? You have to appreciate it when you see it. You don't hate on it. You don't get jealous of it. You don't talk down on it. If somebody's better than you, if they're faster than you, if they're stronger than you, you appreciate it when you see it.
That's right.
When I watch some of the greats, two of my favorite actors all time, Denzel Washington, obviously, and Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
I watch the small things that they do. And it reminds me, there's a Drake line where he says, all the little accents that make me a king. It's all in the details. Right, the small, little, minute details. What are some of the things that, whether it's working with somebody like a Michelle Yeoh, you referenced Morgan Freeman earlier, or the two actors that I just talked about, have there been little things that you've picked up along the way that you go, oh man, that's the difference between good and great?
Yeah, there's been moments where, for me, I started with my career hearing a recurring theme. Michael Beach, who you know as an actor, and Eric LaSalle, who you know from ER, obviously, and obviously various other things, both of them. They auditioned me way back, Brad, I was in Meisner first, Jeff Goldblum, Meisner. I was in New York, then it was LA, Playhouse West, then it was different acting mediums that I studied, Stanislavski to everything. When I sat down between Eric LaSalle and Michael Beach for an audition for a workshop that they were going to be heading and teaching, I did a monologue for a play. I finished the monologue. I was asked to come up, sit next to them, between them. Both of them, ironically, looked like they could be related to me, as you know. They looked at me and they both said differently, but they both stated, the guy who walked in was way more interesting than the guy that started reading the monologue. By the time I made it to Denzel or Auntie Pauletta's household, which you know, Brad, I've made it to that household. By the time I made it to Muhammad Ali next to him in bed because he was a fan, what words you want to give me off of that? And what word can I give you off of that?
Right.
Silence. There was an understanding from the moment that Michael Beach and Eric LaSalle said, where's that guy that walked in? And so the tidbit of information that I got equally at times came from my mother, not critical of Jack Nicholson, one of your favorite, but Jack was the one that when I moved to LA from New York after getting cut from the NFL, or my attempt in the NFL, my mother said, but Jack Nicholson's always Jack. I said, Ma, I beg to totally differ, or I totally beg to differ, wherever you want to put the adverb totally. No, he is differing in each character because each character is different. But what he is providing is he's always bringing Jack to every role, which is what makes him a genius. Denzel is always bringing Denzel to every role, which is making him equally, I say making, right? Because he's present participle still balling from all over the court and on the field. He's a genius. And so I learned very early, Brad, that I was blessed with that gift, that whatever I walked in having, I kind of already had it. So don't try to overdo it. Don't go too right. Don't go too left. Be that guy. Figure out whatever process you best want to serve a character when you play the character. And after learning that process, perhaps stick to it. But in terms of going to try to be something that you're not, that's not the move. And so that was the greatest information when Eric LaSalle and Michael B. said, okay, first of all, that dude that walked, I'm like, really? Think about that, Brad. You show up for a job interview and the person has already hired you based on you walking in before you speak. That's a moment where I had to go, okay, God, you have definitely brought me to something that is a call. Because I definitely tried to go home and give up on acting at a point. So Brad, it had to be a call. And I think Denzel and Pauletta let it be known very early, and that was the reason that God presented me to them and them to me. I think he was a great example to go, I see you, young lad. In a very similar way to Michael Jordan looking at Kobe and go, I see you. And I still feel seen, and I still got a lot of growing and learning to do, but I must have a pretty good book to write in and learn. I must have been blessed with a pretty good book to put lessons in. And that's the greatest thing. The greatest thing is this industry is allowing you to always bring what you have. I don't need to be the next actor, left and or right of me. They've allowed me to be Omari, and that's pretty special.
Well, man, you know what? That answer was pretty special, and I really appreciate you sharing the time with me today. Congratulations again.
Thank you, bro.
On Star Trek Section 31. God bless you, and I really appreciate the conversation.
God bless you back, man. Good luck. You got a bright future ahead of you, Brad. Good luck, bro.
I appreciate you, Omari. Have a good one, bro.
Peace.